Aguero's right about the shoe. The shoe was not the same in the picture shown in court as the shoe pulled from the evidence bag by Trooper Bukake.
You mentioned you're at the hospital. There was a sneaker. One.
Yes.
Bukake!
Woo! Good evening, friends. It's great to see you guys. As always, I hope everyone's doing well. I hope it being Monday and having an hour of sleep deprived of you this weekend hasn't fucked you all up. But yeah, so tonight I don't know how long this one's going to be. It is a late one. I do apologize for that. And 1 second. Yeah, so I don't know how long this one's gonna be. But we are gonna hang out a little bit. I gotta be honest with you. I'm not in a funny mood tonight. And I doubt that the materials that we're gonna go over are going to be very funny. So apologies in advance. If I get a little snippy tonight. What's up, Mazza? Good to see you, buddy. I missed all kinds of shit today, man. Like, there's a lot going on. But I something came up personally for me. But I missed. I think Justice Served supposedly had Alan Jackson on today, and I missed that. And hold on a second here. I mean, I know Joyce said something about that in another chat. Um, um, sorry, I'm looking here. Oh, I was under the impression Alan Jackson was going to be on there tonight. I guess not. There was Scott McGinnis and Jason Grant were on there though. I could see that. Which is pretty awesome. Really awesome, actually. But yeah. So, but what we're going to discuss tonight is going to be some updates in the Kelsey Fitzsimmons case, who Mazza being in the chat here. Mazza has been doing an amazing job covering Kelsey's case and raising funds for her. And I think someone in the chat just said that there was going to be another one Sunday, another fundraiser for Kelsey Sunday, Mazza. And yeah, I missed out on everything that happened this afternoon. I didn't even know until just recently that stuff dropped in Kelsey's case. But yeah, we are going to go over that stuff. So 2 motions dropped and apparently the transcripts of a recording between Justin and the North Andover Police Department, which I'm really interested in reading. I saw that Nurse Kim went live about it earlier, but I didn't get to watch it. So I honestly have no idea what any of this stuff says. I'll be reacting to it mostly. Well, I'll be reacting to it because I honestly have no idea how any what any of it says. So I'm sure Nurse Kim's always great. So I'm sure it was amazing. And I'm kind of bummed that I missed it. Let me see here. Okay, so which one is a response here? All right, so first I'm going to read this. This is Kelsey Fitzsimmons. She filed this. Says defendants Kelsey Fitzsimmons motion for certain rulings in limine. And hold on one second here. Let me share it, and then I will go ahead and read it. Now comes the defendant, Kelsey Fitzsimmons, by and through undersigned counsel that respectfully requests that the court enters certain findings and rulings in limine as follows. Sequestration, the court order trial witnesses to be sequestered. Specifically, defendant requests that all witnesses be ordered during the pendency of the trial not to speak with any other witnesses. What the hell just happened here? I don't want that. Okay. Be ordered during the pendency of this trial not to speak with any other witnesses about their testimony, either before or after testifying, and that all witnesses be excluded from the courtroom for the pendency of the trial. Witnesses may discuss the testimony with the attorneys and non-witness investigators at any time. In the event a police investigator is allowed to assist at counsel table throughout the trial, defense requests that he or she be ordered to abide by the court's order. Opinion terms. Ms. Fitzsimmons further requests that opinion-based terms such as the target of an investigation, victim, or the suspect be excluded in favor of fact-based terms or proper names, as the jury is the proper arbiter of who the perpetrators were in this case rather than the particular witness. I love that. So this is some chess right here. This is just some legal chess that Bradel and his team are playing here, because they're basically saying if they try to pull some fucking Jedi mind tricks and manipulation with the jury, calling Justin a victim, calling Noonan a victim, referring to anybody as victims and calling her a perpetrator. She can't be a perpetrator. She could be referred to as the accused, as the defendant or defendant. She could be referred to as those things, but everything else is prejudicial. So they don't want the jury to be influenced unfairly, and have these little seeds planted in their minds by the prosecution, which is nice. Like, hey, before we even get started, like, let's not even try that shit. That's basically what Kelsey's defense is doing here. And let's see here. Limitation on use of other acts. The Commonwealth has loaded up the witness list on the simple case, seeking to use a wide-ranging collection of witnesses to plumb the depths of Miss Simmons' past going back to 2018. To the contrary, the narrow issue here is whether Miss Fitzsimmons committed an assault with a dangerous weapon against Patrick Noonan on June 30th, 2025, in the bedroom at 125 Phillipsbrook Road in North Andover. The Commonwealth's listed witnesses, as well as... Can anything else go wrong today? As well as many of the defendant's responsive rebuttal lists witnesses, are largely outside the limits of relevance and would serve only as prohibited conformity or propensity evidence. Massachusetts Guide to Evidence section, blah, 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 codifies Commonwealth case law, providing that evidence of a crime, wrong, or other act is not admissible to prove a person's character in order to show that on a particular occasion the person acted in accordance with the character. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, so a lot of the witnesses just have nothing to fucking do with the crime, the alleged crime itself. Is basically what they're saying here. Um, Evidence of a crime, wrong, or other act is not admissible to prove a person's character in order to show that on a particular occasion the person acted in accordance with that character. So basically, let's just say that Kelsey got a DUI, right? Back in the day. Let's just say Kelsey got a DUI back in the day. They don't get, the prosecution doesn't get to use that to influence the jury in thinking that it has anything to do with the alleged crime that she's being accused of, which is pointing a firearm at Noonan, resulting in him shooting her in the chest. Now, I think we're all here agreeing that it's going to be a little hard to prove, because the burden of proof is obviously on the Commonwealth. It's obviously on the prosecution. So they have to prove that this happened, and it's going to be a little hard to do that when they're not wearing body cam footage. And it's going to be a little hard to do that to show, it's going to be working in Kelsey's favor to show that she willingly let everyone in. She was holding her baby. So perception is going to matter here. And the physical evidence against her is not against her. The physical evidence, in my opinion, works for her. It's not going to take any real fancy lawyering to convince a jury of this. I don't believe. Yeah, so they can't be like, well, she did this back in the day, so that totally means that she could totally be capable of doing what they're accusing her of. And they don't get to do that. Concerning defendant's ownership of weapons, evidence of a prior bad act may not be admitted to show the defendant as a bad character or propensity to commit the crime charged. Admission of evidence concerning they cite a case law here. Admission of evidence concerning defendant's ownership of weapons other than weapon used to commit crime was improper because it portrayed him as someone who was likely to commit murder, the crime which was charged. This rule stems from the belief that such evidence forces the defendant to answer accusations not set forth in the indictment, confuses his defense, diverts the attention of the jury, and may create undue prejudice against him. Here, the Commonwealth has sought to introduce evidence concerning an expunged 2018 case from North Carolina, a dispute with unrelated parties in Bethel, Maine on a prior date. The substance of her estranged fiance's ex parte affidavit, along with his testimony assailing her character, and has even sought to resort to the past gripes of disgruntled former boyfriends. None of these evidentiary topics and none of the witnesses would testify to them serve any relevant or admissible purpose under Massachusetts law. In fact, no discovery has been provided that would in any way grant a basis under Section 404 for the Commonwealth to use such testimony. Even if some facially proper basis was able to be mustered, the dangers of unfair prejudice, character assassination, trials within the trial, confusion over unrelated topics substantially outweigh the conceivable conceivable. Wait a minute. I lost my place here. Any conceivable probative value. However, evidence of other bad acts is inadmissible where its probative value is outweighed by the risk of unfair prejudice to the defendant, even if not substantially outweighed by that risk. The Commonwealth should not be allowed to infect the pretrial process itself by publishing these prejudicial attempts at character assassination without first making a detailed written offer of proof to the admissibility under Section 404. Yeah, so basically none of this shit. They're basically saying that The witnesses that they're calling are basically character witnesses planning to testify as to shit that they saw her supposedly do back in the day that make her seem kind of crazy and unhinged. Like, at least that's the implication here, right? That's what it comes off like, right? Like they're trying to, like, the prosecution is planning to paint this picture of she's totally unhinged, she's capable of this, she's capable of that. So basically they're trying to say they don't get to say that because she got drunk and acted a fool at a party at one point has anything to do with her being more likely or less likely to fucking point a gun at a cop. Like, none has anything to do with the other. Neither has anything to do with the other. So they don't want that kind of testimony because it's irrelevant. It doesn't prove one way or the other that there was any motive or rhyme or reason to think that she would point her gun at what until that moment she thought was her partner. Yeah, listen, I realize that I mispronounce words. I've told you people that I'm fucking stupid, so I'm going to mispronounce words sometimes. We don't cover this shit at the Glare Institute of Law and stuff. Never heard these words before. I learn as I go. All right, I already read all this. A, B, and C are dependent on defendant first introducing such evidence. Here, there is no predicate self-defense issue raised by the defendant. Therefore, the entire topic is foreclosed by the Commonwealth. Voir dire. That the court allow the following and related attorney-conducted voir dire questions along with appropriate follow-up questions as follows. Let's see here. Have you had any involvement with domestic or other restraining orders? Have you had any involvement with contested child custody matters? There may be references to a suicide attempt. Is there anything about that topic that would make it difficult for you to sit as a juror in this case? Is any member of your family or a close personal friend employed or retired from serving as a police officer or other law enforcement officer? Okay, this is interesting. Yeah, so they're talking about jury selection here. And as to, like, these, I guess these be the questions that they want to be able to ask the jury. This is what the defense wants to be able to ask potential jurors in jury selection. They go on to say, is any member of your family or a close personal friend employed or retired from serving as a police officer or other law enforcement officer? Are you now or were you ever a member of a law enforcement agency, public or private, in civilian or in military life, whether paid or voluntary? When you learn that the police have arrested or charged a person for a crime, what do you say to yourself concerning the likelihood that the person in fact is guilty of that crime? When you learn that the police have arrested or charged a person for a crime, what do you say to yourself concerning the likelihood that the person in fact is guilty of the crime? That's a great question. Like, that's a great question. So when you hear, like, it's a perfectly fucking valid question to ask a potential jury. And it's interesting too, because it's like they're asking you, what do you ask yourself when you hear somebody's accused of a crime? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Do you go, oh shit, they totally did it, look at their face, you know? Or do you say, well, what was the motive? Right? Where's the evidence? Um, do I know that they actually committed the crime? I'd like to see evidence, you know. Now, if that is that's absolutely what you want in a jury. This is a question that's really, really awesome because it's a strong indication that the defense isn't trying to pull any tricks here. The defense, this is a strong indication that the defense is actually seeking the truth. The defense is actually in pursuit of justice and the truth because they want that juror to be absolutely impartial, and they want that juror to understand that the burden of proof is on the prosecution, and that Kelsey is in fact innocent of this crime until there's enough evidence to prove her guilty. And that is up to the prosecution to provide said evidence. So, Bradel wants to keep these jurors on their toes and asking the right questions. So he's going to ask them the right questions to make sure that they do. Do you believe a person would not be arrested or charged unless he had done something wrong? That's interesting. Like, immediately, do you automatically think, hey, oh shit, that person's in handcuffs? Pfft, they must have fucked up. Like, is that what comes to your mind whenever you see somebody sitting on a curb wearing handcuffs? It's a perfectly valid question. It's a great question. Do you believe that if someone is arrested, indicted, or charged with a crime, that he or she must therefore be guilty of the crime? Do you believe that a criminal defendant should testify at his trial in order to help establish his innocence? That's awesome too. Because a lot of people are like, I want to hear that. I want to hear from them. I want to know if they're lying or not. But immediately, if they think that, then they are either not aware of or don't believe in. They're either not aware of or they just simply don't believe. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, they honestly don't believe or are aware of the right for a defendant to remain silent, or they are not aware of the defendant's right, the defendant's right to testify on their own behalf, because there's a big difference between that defendant's right and the defendant's obligation. Like, if that defendant has that right, then as a juror, you can't ethically look at that person like they've got something to hide because they're deciding not to testify. Maybe they just simply don't want their words twisted. Maybe they simply think, oh my God, if I say this out loud, it could be perceived as this, and that's not the case. And there's the risk if I start explaining it, which I won't have the freedom to do, because the person is asking me questions and I am directed to simply answer the questions. And so that person could set up those questions to where anything that I say is going to incriminate me and make me look bad. Even if I'm telling the truth and I am innocent, it's going to make me look bad. So, this is something that's very important for a juror to understand and honestly believe in. Because that is an example of being impartial, totally impartial. Like, it does not necessarily mean that someone has something to hide because they choose not to testify on their own behalf in their own trial. Does the fact that Ms. Fitzsimmons is sitting here today facing charges make you think that he must have done something wrong, that she must have done something wrong? Great question. Do you believe to or do you belong to or support any organization or group, religious or otherwise, whose philosophy or beliefs would make it difficult for you to decide the issues in a criminal case? That's a great question. I'm trying to think of a hypothetical to that. Like, do you belong to or support any organization or group, religious or otherwise, whose philosophy or beliefs would make it difficult for you to decide the issues in a criminal case? That makes sense. I mean, that's really broad, but it makes sense. It's a great question to ask. What if somebody is accused of, murdering somebody with a crucifix and they happen to be an atheist? I mean, and then that person is a hardcore Christian. Could that influence how they feel about that person? Could they automatically could they let the grotesque details of that crime judge the person who's being accused because they're so angry about the crime itself? Do you understand the proposition that if you view two competing versions of the facts of the case to be equally likely, that is not proof beyond a reasonable doubt? Great question. You want the jury to understand what proof beyond a reasonable doubt actually means. The defendant further moves pursuant, blah, 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 voir dire required in case involving interracial murder or on request of defendant, that these questions be asked by counsel during an individual voir dire examination of each potential juror. Otherwise, possible personal issues or community attitudes toward the offense with which she is charged may cause a decision to be made in whole or in part upon issues extraneous to the case. That the court excludes certain prejudicial and inadmissible references as follows: that the defendant resigned from the police force, that the residence of defendant is known to us as a repeat offender or repeat location of police visits, that the defendant fled a particular location, any attempted characterizations or opinions about the defendant's testimony or state of mind that the defendant was a target of an investigation, and any other interpretive purported opinion, testimony about what was said or intended by another person, and related references. Wherefore, the defendant respectfully requests that the court enter the foregoing rulings and grant any such other relief as it deems meet and proper. So some of this stuff seems pretty specific. The court excludes certain prejudicial and inadmissible references as follows: that the defendant resigned from the police force, and that the residence or defendant is known to us as a repeat offender or repeat location of police visits, or that the defendant fled a particular location. So yeah, I guess I guess they don't want the bullshit about the bachelorette party to be a thing. All right. So that's that. So that's just basically, I mean, this is your standard preparation for trial. We've seen these motions before in other trials. This is basically the defense setting up a fair playing ground, basically making sure that the grass on the field is regulation height, making sure that the grass on the field has the right distance between the lines, that sort of thing. Making sure that the referee knows what he's doing. Now, there was a motion from the Commonwealth as well today, and I'm going to go ahead and read that. Okay, so this is Commonwealth's motion in limine. Now comes the Commonwealth and alerts this honorable court to prior bad act conduct of the defendant, about which the Commonwealth is aware, has provided in discovery, and would seek to admit if the testimony became relevant after cross-examination or on rebuttal. Evidence of prior bad acts is not admissible to show that the defendant has a criminal propensity or is of bad character. Such evidence, if relevant, may be admitted. However, if it is offered for a purpose other than impugning the defendant's character, and if its probative value is not substantially outweighed by any prejudice. Okay. So how else are they planning to use anything other than to any other past situation other than to smear her character? If they want to bring this stuff up, then how is it serving any purpose if it's not pertaining directly to the incident in question? Why? That makes no sense. Evidence of prior bad acts is not admissible. Like, I mean, they're trying to say, okay, well, if we bring it up, it's not going to be to smear a character. But well, what would you be bringing it up for? What's the point? How's it relevant other than to smear a character? So evidence of prior bad acts is not admissible to show that the defendant has a criminal propensity or is of bad character. Such evidence, if relevant, may be admitted. However, it is offered for a purpose other than impugning the defendant's character, and if its probative value is not substantially outweighed by any prejudice. One legitimate purpose for such evidence is to impeach the credibility of a defendant who may be lying or giving incomplete answers on direct examination. Okay, so all right, I guess credibility and character are very different things that I'm not really catching much of a difference in, but I'm sure there is if I thought about it enough, because I'm trying to give the Commonwealth here the benefit of the doubt, even though it's difficult to, knowing our history with them. But I'm just trying to really see, because it sounds like some lawyer double talk bullshit is what it sounds like, you know. However, we can't use it to destroy her character, but we can use it to destroy her credibility. Okay. Credibility as to what? So her basically disputing the charges and saying, fuck you, prove it. Prove that I pointed a gun at this asshole. He showed up in my house and fucking took my baby. Prove that I pointed a gun at this asshole. Right? I mean, and that somehow is going to be in question if it turns out that she lied about something back in the day, you know? Like, I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. Will, there is a North Carolina officer on the state's witness list, I'm told, to say Kelsey was arrested for being intoxicated when she was 20. It should not be allowed since it was so long removed from now, right? I don't think it's based on that. I mean, I couldn't tell you for sure. That's a LawTuber question, but I wouldn't I mean, I don't think that how long ago it was makes it inadmissible, but I think it would be easy for the defense to argue and convince the jury that it's not relevant. You know what I mean? Like, it was so long ago. Like, who the fuck didn't get drunk and act stupid when they were 20? Does that mean that they're going to fucking years later point a gun at a cop? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's stupid. It's crazy. So no, I mean, I don't think that they can I don't think that it means that it's inadmissible because of how long ago it was, but I think it's easy to just destroy its any weight that it might have, but it doesn't have any weight. Just show that it holds no weight. And it says one legitimate purpose for such evidence is to impeach the credibility of a defendant who may be lying or giving incomplete answers on direct examination. Blah, 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 blah. Defendant answered Commonwealth versus Roderick because defendant answered untruthfully and that he had never carried a gun. He opened the door to admission of the evidence of his prior conviction for gun possession. Okay. So was Kelsey drunk when they picked her up? Prior bad act evidence may also be relevant to demonstrate intent. So this is some Lally bullshit right here. That's what this is. This is some Lally and some fucking Brennan bullshit. Not quite as low as Brennan, but at this point, seeing that little fucking attempt, I'm totally seeing this dude being I'm totally seeing this prosecutor being like Spanky level, being capable of it. I mean. Like, look at this. So, because defendant answered untruthfully that he had never carried a gun, he opened the door to admission of the evidence of his prior conviction for gun possession. Okay. I mean, that's gun possession. What are we talking about here? So you want to bring up the fact that she got arrested at 20 years old for being drunk and acting stupid a year before she's even legally allowed to drink, probably on some basic white girl shit, and fucking acted stupid and showed her ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not uncommon, dude. That's not uncommon. And so, I mean, that's not uncommon at all. Like, for some reason, this is going to be some sort of smear on her character or some sort of smear on her credibility, excuse me. And the jury's just supposed to, like, the defense is just supposed to fucking be like, okay. That's fucking wild. One legitimate purpose for such evidence is to impeach the credibility. Okay, I already read that. Judge did not abuse his discretion in admitting. Prior bad act evidence may also be relevant to demonstrate intent. Okay, so explain to me how her acting silly and stupid at 20, drunk, demonstrates intent to point, when she wasn't intoxicated at all, point a gun at a police officer. That makes no sense. The judge did not abuse his discretion in admitting prior bad acts by the defendant in rebuttal. Where this evidence tended to prove the defendant's intent and the defendant had denied making other contemporaneous statements to the victim's evincing animus. Therefore, out of the abundance of caution, the Commonwealth reports the following prior bad acts to the court, which it may request permission to introduce. If the conduct between relevant or permissible purpose, if the conduct becomes relevant for a permissible purpose. The events surrounding the Jack and Jill bachelor party the weekend prior to the charged conduct, various witnesses, including Justin and Michelle, Justin Asshole, and Michelle Mitchell, a bridesmaid, reported that the defendant acted violently and erratically while a group gathered to celebrate the defendant and Asshole's engagement in Maine. See attached report and 209A affidavit. The defendant exhibited retaliatory behavior against her former boyfriend, Evan Ferrari, when he broke off the relationship in February of 2023. Ferrari, a Massachusetts State Police candidate, went to extraordinary lengths to move out of a shared apartment without the defendant's knowledge because he was fearful that the defendant would make a negative report to the state police. After Ferrari moved out, the Human Resources Division of the state police received an email from the defendant in which she concluded that the defendant moving out of their apartment shows complete manic and malicious characteristics. Hold on. After Ferrari moved out, the Human Resources Division of the State Police Department received an email from the defendant in which she concluded that the defendant moving out of their apartment shows complete manic and malicious characteristics of someone you are allowing to be a part of such a prestigious department. I don't get it. So I think this is a typo. I'm pretty sure this is a typo because it's saying after Ferrari moved out, the Human Resources Division at the state police received an email from the defendant, I'm assuming Kelsey, in which she concluded that the defendant moving out, which this was the Ferrari guy that moved out, right? Moved out of their apartment, shows complete manic and malicious characteristics of someone you are allowing to be a part of such a prestigious department. Okay, well, that's great. But that's fucking dandy and all. But the problem is how the fuck does that make her capable of pointing a gun at her partner when he came to take her baby? Because here's the thing is, I'm of the opinion that where I'm at is I understand if she did that shit. Now, I don't think she did. If she denies doing it, I don't think she did. But the fact of the matter is they're going to try to make her out to be a liar. They're going to take all of these people and they're going to use these testimonies to make her out to be a liar. They're going to say, oh my God, like they're going to paint her out to be like, this bitch is crazy. Like they're going to paint her out to be 5150 Meredith, basically. And they're going to say she's fucking crazy. And this is why you should believe that she pointed a gun at Officer Noonan. Sorry, I ordered some more this is my last zero sugar Mountain Dew, and I ordered some more, so I'm just seeing the status on that, and I'm gonna have to go grab them when they get here. Yeah, this is wild to me. I'm trying to understand because I'm trying to play devil's advocate. I'm trying to play devil's advocate as well here. Because I mean, this seems desperate. This seems like another case where the prosecution has no case, and so they're just fucking reaching with things that just don't matter to try to paint a picture of her character to convince a jury that she could have done it. Like that seems to be the strategy here. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defense is going to tell you that no body cam footage was being worn. There's no evidence, blah, 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 right? But lest we forget, that this bitch is fucking crazy. And she totally could have done that. Now, there's no proof. There's no body cam footage per se, but it's absolutely proof that she did this because now you know that she could have. Is that going to be the closing arguments from the prosecution? We have proven to you beyond a reasonable doubt that Kelsey Fitzsimmons pointed a gun at Officer Noonan because we've established that she possibly could have. Huh? What? On February 24th, 2023, around 11 a.m., the defendant wrote, "I know what I need to do. You don't need to prepare for the academy." Ferry then called the defendant to try and talk with her, fearful that she was going to try and ruin his opportunity with the Massachusetts State Police. He stated while on the phone, he told her, "I need to go, Kelsey. I need to prepare for the academy." Then he claims he stated, "You don't need to prepare. You will not be going to the academy. I know what I need to do." The investigator observed that the call took place at 11:33 a.m. and the defendant's email to Human Resources was received 26 minutes later. Testimony that defendant used similar tactics to commit similar acts on a witness who is not a victim in this case was properly introduced to show pattern of conduct and was not too remote in time. Okay, so pattern of conduct. I'm going to derail your chances in the Massachusetts Staties Academy. We're going to go from there to I'm pointing a gun at my partner after I became a cop. Huh? So that's the pattern of conduct? There's a pattern of conduct between I'm reporting my roommate out of animosity, even. Fine, whatever. I'm reporting my roommate out of animosity to try to derail his chances of getting into the Massachusetts State Police. And then this pattern of conduct immediately leads to her pointing a gun at her partner. Okay. Testimony that defendant used similar tactics to commit similar acts on witness who was not victim in this case was properly introduced to show pattern of conduct and was not too remote in time. Wow. You are fucking reaching. The defendant exhibited irrational and violent behavior while in a 3-year-long dating relationship with John Minotti. Minotti described in an incident while traveling in defendant's Jeep that she was asking to get together with Minotti. Minotti explained to her that he did not want to rekindle the relationship. The defendant refused to allow him to exit her vehicle and continue to drive, but threatened to crash the vehicle. Vanilla Sky, anyone? After a period of time and begging her to allow him to exit, he punched her dashboard and broke it so that she would stop the vehicle and he could escape. The defendant told Michelle Mitchell that she got drunk and assaulted a police officer by spitting in his face twice. Okay, so hearsay then. The defendant told Michelle Mitchell that she got drunk and assaulted a police officer by spitting in his face twice. So you're going to have someone testify to something that Kelsey Fitzsimmons allegedly told the witness about something that has nothing to do with anything. And this supposedly happened when she got drunk at 20 years old. You want to use that. And the whole thing with the Minotti thing, I mean, here's the thing, is that totally could have happened. There are normal people who end up having fights like this, who have arguments like this from time to time. Fuck you. No, you're going to fucking sit there and we're going to talk about this. But this is made out to be like, okay, so you're not leaving me, you're not breaking up with me, or we're rekindling this relationship and you don't have any say in the matter. I'm going to crash this car with the both of us if you don't. Now, that's very possible. But again, even if that was possible, it doesn't mean that it happened. And more importantly, it has nothing to do with what happened at her home when they showed up to take her badge, her gun, and her baby, which they failed to secure the gun. They failed to secure the baby first. They failed to show up with a caseworker working to represent the child. And they showed up with the alleged victim who they were executing the RO on, because the person is so scared. The person who's so scared of her needs to show up and see this happen. He needs to show up and see the restraining order enforced and executed and enforced. That's fascinating. Yeah, and she had postpartum depression, which means none of this shit is relevant. None of this shit means anything. Like, that's the whole thing, dude. Like, that's why I don't fuck with these idiots on Twitter, and I don't get upset about any of the shit that they say about me, because everybody has shit in their life, dude. Everyone does. Everyone has shit in their life. You know what I'm saying? So it's insane that a court of law, a prosecutor who's sworn to seek out answers in the interest, seek out the truth in the interest of justice. It's insane that they would try to use stupid little bullshit that could have happened between two people who may have had too much to drink. Never had an argument like that again. Could be that they might have had too much to drink. Could be that this Minuti guy, or whatever the fuck his name is, Minotti, could be that this guy sat there, told her, hey, whatever the fuck that he needed to tell her in order to get her in bed. And then he goes, yeah, you know what? I just wanted to fucking bust, you know? I just needed to bust a nut. And he was like, thanks. And then she was like, you know what? Fuck you, motherfucker. No, dude. What kind of shit is that? And then she just needed to blow off some fucking steam. Could have been that. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of these things prove that she's even capable of pointing a firearm as a trained police officer at her partner. Because if all of these things are so fucking relevant, how did she pass a psych eval to get into the police department in the first place? If all of these things are relevant, how did she manage to fucking get through the police academy? Get along with everybody, go through the training, do everything she needed to do, have a decent career as a cop up until that point? If all of these things are so fucking relevant. I mean, that's it. Like, yeah, this is just some bullshit. It's a list of just bullshit, like people saying shit. That's all that is. It's just people saying shit. All right. And just in time, too, because my shit just got here. Give me 1 second, folks. I will be right back. All right. Sorry about that. Thanks for waiting. I appreciate it. Now we're going to get into the phone call because first off, I find that really weird. Yeah, it actually makes absolutely no sense because they're just going to get people up there that are just going to say shit. Like this is totally a witch hunt. When you just look at it, when you step back and just look at everything and the kind of case that the prosecution seems to want to present, it's a fucking witch hunt. None of that shit matters. I mean, and at the same time, it's like, dude, you want to put her on probation? Like all of this, you want to, like, you're prosecuting this. Why? Why are you prosecuting this and you're not prosecuting Justin? We know, we have evidence that he fucking committed grand theft, larceny, cyber crimes, breaking and entering. Like evidence, data. And they refuse to charge this guy. Yet he shows up at the execution and enforcement of this restraining order. Wire fraud, right? Yeah, this is fucking crazy, dude. Like this is like I'm blown away that the Commonwealth is doing this, especially after the publicity from Karen Reed, and especially since Karen Reed people who were actively talking about Karen Reed and supporting Karen Reed and showing up to court for Karen Reed are now starting to show up for her. They have the balls to pull this shit. This is unreal. Yeah, I mean, is he going to be allowed to do that? Has there been a motion blocking that? Like, did the judge make a decision that that can't be shown? I mean that is a proper defense. That is a legitimate reason to that is a legitimate example of what could create doubt. Yeah, that's a fact. Kelsey Fitzsimmons needs a turtle boy. That's for sure. No doubt about that. And now there's like from just an asshole, there's like a transcript here of a conversation that he had with the North Andover police. Now I'm very interested in this. Now this isn't what I'm looking for. Hold on. What is this? No, man. I thought Cherry, I thought you sent that to me. Or maybe you did. And I'm just not. I don't have a decryption key. It's asking me for a decryption key. So yeah, I don't have the fucking transcript. Yeah, it's asking me for a decryption key. I don't fucking know anything about a fucking decryption key. Yeah, Mazza, that would be great. If you could send that to me, I'd really appreciate it, buddy. Oh, I don't think I called this out here. Old Swamp Witch Nan, thank you. Thanks for forcing me to get a membership. Member for 4 months. I love it. Thank you for that. Can I do a dramatic reading like Nurse Kim did? I don't know. We'll just have to see what I'm inspired to do. But I'm just being honest with you guys. I am in a pissy fucking mood, and I'm trying not to be. So yeah, I'm really trying my best to shake it off. All right. Okay, no, that's not it either. Cherry. This just has the explanation to it. This isn't the transcript. This is just an explanation of this is the facts related to the indictment. I did. Okay, I got it. Thank you. At least I think I do. This is just his. Okay, I've got it here. His Justin's call to Sergeant Gurky. Oh, Mazza just sent me. Thank you. Thank you, Mazza. I appreciate it, buddy. No, not Gherkin. Here, I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. To Sergeant Gurky. I'm calling him Gurky. Fuck that guy. I'm calling him Gurky. I'm calling him Gurky, bro. Like that's gonna be his name. I don't give a shit. And Riley's welcome to Logic. Thanks for joining. All right, let's see here. The evidence title: Justin asshole calls to Sergeant Gurky. An unverified transcript may be generated through a combination of speech to text. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so speaker one, Northern Police and Fire. This call is recorded. Hi, this is Justin. Justin Land. I'm of the North and North Fire Department. I am off duty right now. I do need to speak with DOIC. So he knows exactly which department to contact here. Yes, sir. Hold 1 second, please. Hey, is this Justin? Yes, this is. Hey, it's Katie. How are you? I mean, that's a silly question, but I digress. I do care. No, yeah, doing as well. Thinking about you right now. Yeah. So what can I do for you, Justin? What's that? I needed to discuss my options of retrieving all of my belongings from Phillips Brooks. Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. Well, it's your house, so I'm assuming that you can make whatever arrangements if you just want us to let, because let's just say if this were, a scenario we deal with in any other case, with restraining orders, there's nothing barring you from returning to your own property except your own safety. So I can't, we don't have any jurisdiction and we don't even navigate about mutual property. So when we get restraining orders, people have to, commonly the defendant would ask, okay, so she's a fucking idiot. It's different in this case because you may be in stow, from what I understand. But any property, okay, yeah. So she's fucking retarded. Okay, let me let me read that again. Oh, gotcha. I gotcha. Well, it's your house, not his house. So I'm assuming that okay, so right there she says I'm assuming that you can make whatever arrangements if you just want us to let, because let's just say if this were, a scenario we deal with in any other case, with restraining orders, So far she said nothing. There's nothing barring you from returning to your own property except your own safety. So I can't, there's nothing barring you from your own property except your safety. Okay. Meaning, like, if I get hurt, if I hurt my shoulder busting the door in because it's not my fucking house, that's on me. But everything else is cool. I got permission. You're saying it's cool, but if I get hurt breaking into the fucking house with my fucking shoulder, then that's on me, right? I mean, that's how that comes off when we think of all the facts of the case now. What do you mean she didn't say it was his? She totally said it was him. It says it's your house. I gotcha. Well, it's your house. So, I'm assuming that, you can make whatever arrangements if you just want to because let's just say if this were, a scenario where you deal with any other case, if, with restraining orders, there's nothing barring you from returning to your own property except your own safety. So, I can't, we don't have any jurisdiction and we don't even navigate about mutual property. So when we get restraining orders, people have to, commonly the defendant would ask to. It's different in this case because you may be in stow, from what I understand. But any property that's in there is between you, Kelsey, and civil courts. It doesn't have anything to do with us. We have no jurisdiction to say what can't be removed, what can be removed. Wow. So am I able to go to the house with a bunch of fire buddies and remove my belongings? What? I just know, yes, we have no jurisdiction on that. I don't, are you in communication with her family and things like how I am in no communication with her family whatsoever? Oh, this dude is slick, bro. Like, at this point, he's already salivating because he knows that the person he's talking to is a fucking retard. Like, he knows it. He can tell that the person he's talking to is fucking retarded, and she's not giving him any straight answers. She doesn't know what to do. So a guy like him can absolutely manipulate her to navigate. He can navigate the conversation to go his way. He can take control of the entire situation and navigate the conversation to go the way he needs it to go to cover his own ass, which is in part why he's not being prosecuted, is my guess. Because here you've got a fucking retard who he's thinking, well, I don't have, I called and I asked if it would be okay. And a police officer told me that it was my property too. So I'm allowed to go in there and do that. And anything that I take, it's not theft. It's a civil matter. It's not a criminal matter. Even if it's thousands of dollars, even if I steal her fucking identity, even if I fucking steal her passport, sure. That's fucking, it's yours too, right? Even though you're not married, it's yours too, right? That's insane. That's insane. First question I'd ask, are you guys married? Like, are you have a restraining, she has a restraining order against you. I wouldn't do that. I would try to somehow contact her attorney, have your attorney contact her attorney and find some medium ground where if you have property in there, negotiate some way to where you can get it back without anyone getting violated or violating in an RO. I mean, what's so hard about that? That's the stupidest thing in the world. I know she's saying that they have no jurisdiction, but Okay, so they have no jurisdiction, so that's why she doesn't say that it's okay for him to do it. Listen, I don't know how to answer that. I'm not the one to talk to about that. We don't have jurisdiction to tell you where you can go and what you can't do. Like, I mean, but if you break into her house and take property that doesn't belong to you and she files criminal charges, that's on you, homie. Why wouldn't she say something like that? It makes no sense. Like, if you get charged with a crime, you know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you because I don't know if it's a crime or not. I don't know the circumstances of the situation. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you whether or not you're committing a crime. So I would say contact her, have your attorney contact her attorney. That would be my suggestion. And see if you could find some way to civilly come up with a solution here where you could get your property. I mean, yeah. And she was like, I've been thinking about you. I've been thinking about you. Obviously, this is, you know, these are different circumstances. The only different circumstances is that you're buddies with him. Is that you care about him. You said I care about you and and I'm worried about you. I'm thinking about you, she said. Okay. Yeah, do you know if they're at the house at all? That would be my only thing if you wanted to, I don't know, go you know, if you feel like they're there and I mean it's your house, so you truly. Now, here's the thing is she was probably lied to where he says, "Yeah, it's my house too. My name's on the bills. My name's on the deed, whatever." But no, it's not his house. He doesn't have a key. The locks have been changed. So the security alarm code was changed. And specifically to keep him out. And I wonder why that is. Because it didn't stop him from going in. And he did exactly what they would be afraid that he would do, short of vandalizing the rest of the house. But he cleaned out her bank account, basically. And he broke in. It's your house, so truly you could go in there anytime you please, she says. And let's say, hypothetically, they were there and they get all bent out of shape about that. What you could do is just call us to explain that to them. Wow. Wow. So there is the go ahead. There is the go ahead from a person in a position of authority, because a cop is definitely of an authority in that situation over a fireman. So this person is in a position of authority over him, and she grants him permission to break into someone else's property. And even if, hypothetically, she says, even if the people who you have a restraining order against are there, so since you have a restraining order against her, you want to go there with your fighter buddies, not a neutral person, someone who you could send over there who's neutral. Nothing like that. I need to be able to have permission to go in there and take my shit. And you're sitting here telling me that if even the people who I have a restraining order against are in the house, then all I got to do is tell them to call you, and you'll explain to them that I'm allowed to be there to get my shit. What? Tell me that's not some good old boy bullshit if you ever saw it. That's the epitome of good old boy bullshit right there. Go ahead to the house that these people that you have a restraining order against these people. None of these people are even allowed near your child. But what you're going to do is call us if they give you any problems. Huh? And then we let him know, hey, no, we told him it was cool. But we don't have any jurisdiction over that. But tell him to call us and we'll let him know that it's cool, even though we don't have any jurisdiction. Okay. And so Justin goes, so my only concern would be, I know they're blaming me for a lot of this. Yeah, I get it. Yep. This lady sucks. They're there. Yep. I'm for the potential. I'm for the potential retaliation of any of the sorts. Yeah. So you could play it however you want to play it. Wow. I'm gonna leave that up to you. One option would be to shoot them a text or anything like, just so you know, I'm going back to the house to pick up some belongings. They would say no, absolutely not. Say no, absolutely not. I'm pretty sure they would show. Yeah, okay. So what you may want to do is just go do what you got to do. I can't keep you from there, nor would I want to. It's your own house. It's your house as well. It's your property. So it's, oh my God. It's technically the deed. The deed is in her name. Sure. Sure. But you're like, obviously, a residence of that house, he says. Yes, you have legal standing in there as far as the civil clerks, civil courts are concerned. You have keys, you have access, okay, so he's lying about the access that he has. Or he didn't know that the locks got changed. I know you live there. We know you live there. We are not going to stand in your way from collecting your property if you go and do your thing. And just if you get there and someone's there, we can, before even go in the house, you could call us and, meet us over the school parking lot and be like, they're there right now. Can you send someone by to keep the peace? And we'd be happy to do that for you. We do that all the time. Okay. Especially if the roles are reversed. If you had been asked to leave the house, we do this all the time where, the person who has resided there has a legal right to grab things. Okay, so why hasn't, even though this is being brought up, why hasn't the suggestion, okay, listen, since there is a restraining order in place and you have property in there and you live there, you have keys, we can't stop you from getting your property, but just to be on the safe side, just in case those people are there and it causes no problems, I would absolutely recommend that one of us escort you while you do this, just so there's a police presence in case anything happens. This isn't suggested at all. Again, this is more good old boy bullshit. Sharon Gragg, thank you so much for becoming a member. Welcome to Logic. Yeah, this is fucking ridiculous. Yeah, no, this person's an idiot. This person is absolutely retarded. And then he says, I'm okay. I'm not trying to create any, more difficulties for any of us. Let's just call the police. They'll come down to help us. No need to butt heads. No. Sometimes things get emotional and difficult. So we can diffuse it a little bit. But if we just say, hey, let's all hang out for a minute and call the police to help us, tell us, and that's what we say. And what we say to the family is, what we are just trying to do, he has a legal right to grab what he wants out of the house, and he was resided here. The son's in his custody. So you got to grab the baby's things, I'm sure. Okay. So if there is down the road, like any dispute on property, what we would tell her is, she says, oh, my 50-inch TV's gone. He took it. We would just tell her that she have to take it up with probation court. So he's getting permission to rob the place. That's what he's working on here. he's saying, oh, so basically what I could do is I could just like show up there. Like, this sounds a lot like two people getting their story straight, right? Planning something that she's not even sure is the right thing to do. You could tell by the way that she's speaking. She's totally fucking confused. She doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. But for some reason, he has some sort of influence over her personally. Clearly. Now, the extent of that, I have no idea. But he broke into the place and he robbed her blind. And she was laying in the ICU, recovering from a gunshot that, in all fucking, in all reality, really is technically his fault. So here he is, basically trying to plan something out here. Like, he's already creating disclaimers. Like, he's not disclaimers, but he's saying like, okay, so if I take the 50-inch TV, I could basically basically what he's doing is getting confirmation that he can basically take whatever he wants. He's saying, I could basically take whatever I want, and it doesn't matter. It's going to have to come up in civil court. I won't get charged with robbing her. So I could just fucking take whatever the fuck I want. Right? That's wild. I'd love to see what her response is here. And then she says, or wait, that's actually her saying this. Yeah, so that's actually her telling him this. He's not even saying this. This is her. So that's not him saying, if I take the 50-inch, she's telling him, no, you would just have to take it up with probate court. You could, for instance, you can take a 50-inch and the 50-inch TV, and then it's just going to have to come up in civil court. This is what she's telling him. And he's sitting there going, that's interesting. So yeah, okay, no, I just want my tools, my clothes. She's like, right. He says, don't have any of my stuff, so yeah. And so now he's fucking thinking. And she's like, you have your weapons. I think you have all. And he's like, I removed them all from the house the night prior. Wow. So yeah, that any property, we would take a report from her and say, talk to the courts, because that's not our purview. Wow. So she's basically telling him, go on in there and take whatever the fuck you want, and then just take it up in civil court. He says, okay, understood. So now he's like, fuck yeah. Now he's like, let's fucking go. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to take whatever I want. Let her try to bring it up in civil court. She's not going to be able to fight that. That's wild. So if you're going to give, if you're not going to give them a heads up, which is your right to, it's not my business to tell you what to do. That's not our jurisdiction, because you don't have an order out against you. And you have legal standing in that house. Wow. No, you don't. Just calls us if you happen to see their car there. Yep. And we'll meet you before and break the ice with some prior, then we'll go from there. And if they show up, just call us. Just say, hey, I'm trying to get some property. Can you just send someone to keep the peace? And then he says, so even if I have temporary restraining order right now, I'm still allowed to go to that house? And she goes, yeah, the restraining order is on her. Yeah, it's not keeping you, it's her. Okay, going back. Yep. Affirmative. Okay, understood. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. Of course you appreciate it. Okay, all right. Take care. You got it, Justin. Call back if you need any help, okay? If you need some help moving the TV that doesn't belong to you, sure. Just call me up and I'll help you carry the shit out as you rob this woman. And I really do feel for you. And just I know this is terrible, but a lot of us support you, and we're all, it's terrible what you're going through. So yeah, no. Wow, dude. Wow. Yeah, dude. She needs to be fucking fired. That woman cannot be a cop. That shit is really, really fucked up. Not only does she need to be fired, dude, I hope Kelsey sues the fuck out of these people, dude. Out of the entire North Andover Police Department over this shit. And she's like, yeah, nightmare. Like she's finishing his sentence for him. He's like, yeah, it's she's like, yeah, nightmare. And I support you, and you're so kind to everybody. So anything you need, let me know, okay? Okay, thank you so much for your time. I really and then appreciate it. You got it. Yep, take care. Bye-bye. All right, bye. Wow, dude. This transcript is unverified right here. Police, how you been? What is this? The transcript starts. Okay. This is to Lieutenant Salios. Just an asshole to Lieutenant Salios on July 3rd, 2025. And police, how you been? Recorded. Hey, this is Justin. This is Justin Olin, off-duty firefighter. Why does he give a weird fake last name each time he calls? Can I speak to your OIC? Hold on, sir. So is that what he's doing? Is he giving a fake fucking name? Like in hopes that it's gonna cover his ass in some way when he's trying to do some nefarious shit and trying to get write-offs? Like, it makes no sense. Oh, okay. I think that this is just the way that the computer transcript came out. Like, Olland is probably how he says his name, Justin Olin, and so this is right. It's the way the transcript, right. I'm going to 125 Phillips Brooks to retrieve all my belongings today with other members of the fire department. I had spoken to Sergeant Dumbass yesterday about what would happen, and she said I had full authorization to retrieve all my belongings and if her family shows up to call for police, to call for police officer, give the intense nature of what has happened in that house and what her family has already been trying to do. So her family, these victims of her family, I need to request a police officer is there at 9:30 when I show up. Okay. We're going to be there for 2 hours, and giving the potential and the intense nature of what happened there, I don't know what has happened. I don't know what they're going to do. And I'm going to have to request that police officer is there. Okay, yeah, we have, can you hold on 1 second? Yes. Justin? Yes. Yeah, I'm told that the plan is if anybody shows up to give us a call, we'll be there immediately. We're very limited today on staff, but if there's any issue at all, we'll be there momentarily. All right. I'm going to have it noted that if something does happen, I requested 2 times for a police officer to be there from the beginning. I want that noted because I will escalate this further, because this is not right from giving a situation that occurred in that house and the potential for something else to happen. And my family should never have been in that position in the first place. Now I'm requesting something that should be placed there. And you're telling me no several times. That right there is not right. Okay. Like, this is manipulation at its finest. So he wants a cop there to validate him robbing her. Like, hey, I just want to, if something pops off there, I don't want it to be my fault. I want it on record that I requested twice that a police officer escort me and accompany me on that property while I rob her. While you guys make sure that there's no incidents, that while you guys stop her from trying to stop me from robbing her. Like, this is unreal. So he's basically saying, so I asked you guys twice and you guys said no. I just want that on record, because whatever fucking happens, it's not my fault. It's on you guys, not me. Yeah, totally setting the scene. He's totally setting the scene. This guy is an absolute fucking scumbag. And then this chick, it's Katie. We spoke yesterday. And then he says, we did speak yesterday. We did say we did speak yesterday. Given the intense nature of the situation and what could occur, I'm gonna be there for 2-3 hours. I know what her father's capable of. I know what could happen. But you social media there. I don't. Yeah. So this is a lot of this stuff is just weird ways that it got transcripted. I'm just telling you, I understand the stressful situation, but what we spoke yesterday was that we weren't going to prevent you from going in the house, but if something happened, you could call us right away and we'd be there. And that was and then he says, spoke on, okay, no, we did speak about that. And after thinking about it again, I wanted to make my concerns noted 2 times. So if something does happen, if something does occur, this will be noted and I have no problem escalating you further. I appreciate your time. Thank you and have a good day. Okay, so that's it. So whatever happens isn't my fault. Just saying, I asked for you cops to be there. So if something fucking happens, and I plan on escalating this shit, like he just said, this is gonna fucking get escalated. I'm gonna make sure of that shit. If these people are there, I know what's gonna fucking happen, and I'm gonna fucking make sure it happens. And I want it noted that I asked you guys to be there for it, to prevent it. So it's basically a threat. I mean, this is okay. Time you heading over there? He says, so I'll be there at 9:30 with 6 other men. It's going to be a couple of hours. Wow, 6 other guys. Okay, so you're planning on robbing her. You've got your firefighter buddies, and you're dude, who's okay. You've got your firefighter buddies coming to help you fucking. I mean, why do you need 6 of them? What do you need 6 firefighter buddies with you to collect a couple of your belongings for the baby? Like, that's already shady as fuck. And you need 3 hours because you're planning on just fucking cleaning her out. All right. Well, that's that. There was no like formal requests at a certain time Justin, and I understand. And he says, I understand that I went through Crystal as well. I asked Crystal. Crystal said she would ask as well that I never that I never coming back to me. This formal request. I called yesterday. You gave me this information. I'm calling you again this morning, and I'm telling you that you guys do last minute details every single day, that this is last minute detail. Yesterday would have been a detail that was not last minute. Would you like a detail? I'm not paying for a detail. Okay. All right. I'm just trying. Family should have never been in this situation. My child and myself should have never happened. I will absolutely escalate whatever I have to do. There it is again. If I'm saying that I don't feel comfortable and I don't want to put my brother again, my friends into a situation where something could occur, or if you knew what happened, I don't know what her family would be capable of at this point. Okay, if you're so concerned. See, this is where the cops are fucking retarded again. Because if you're so goddamn concerned about something popping off and something and there being something happening and you can't get a police detail, well, then you don't go. You're afraid of the people in the house. You're bringing 6 fucking thugs with you because that's what it comes off as. Like you're bringing a fucking a harem of henchmen with you to fucking, and for what? You're bringing a gang with you. Why? A crew. Why? Why is that necessary? For what? For what purpose? And you're basically spelling it out. I will escalate this however it needs to be escalated. So I'm bringing my boys, and if you guys aren't going to give me a detail while I fucking rob this woman blind, I'm going to do whatever I got to do. And I'm just telling you, I went through the motions to fucking try to prevent that from happening. And since you guys aren't going to provide me with the detail that I need, then I'm telling you something's going to pop off. I'm just giving you a heads up. That's what he's saying. Now, somebody who is actually concerned would go, okay, well, you know what? I don't need the stuff that bad. I'll just go out and buy more stuff. I'm the baby's father, by the way. So I'll just go out and get more stuff for the baby because the baby needs it. So there's no need to even go. If there's a concern for people's safety, why are you're basically gearing up for a conflict, and you're telling the cops this, and the cops are doing nothing about it. The cops are going, yeah, well, I understand. I get it. Okay. That's wild. And no cop chimes in to go, well, then maybe you shouldn't go. I'm glad this is a recorded line. This is wild. So I will be there at 9:30. If you do not have someone there, all of my concerns have been noted. Thank you for your time and goodbye. And then another call here from between Justin Asshole to Lieutenant Whitaker. Good morning. This is Lieutenant Whitaker. Lieutenant Whitaker. This is Justin Land. Whitaker. This is Justin Land. Okay, so there's 3 callers here. Speaker 3 is Justin. I'm at 125 Phyllis Brooks right now, retrieving my belongings. Okay, hello? Hello, Justin? Are you still there? Hello? Say that again, sir. Justin, are you still there? I'm still there. It's connected to my truck for some reason. Oh, I thought it was my phone was messing up or so. Okay, I don't care about any of that. Grabbed my belongings. The alarm did go off. I had to change the locks. It had changed the locks. The alarm did go off. Her dad he set the full system up. He has everything he's gonna know. The alarms went off, and I have no doubt in my mind he's gonna be driving down from New Hampshire to show up here. Okay, whereabouts from New Hampshire would he be coming from? He's up in like the Rochester. He's I forget exactly what town he's in, probably about 40 minutes away, 30 minutes away. I don't know if he's coming, but I have no doubt in my mind that man is going to come down with a vengeance. Well, yeah, you unreal. I mean, do you think that? I called 2 times. My family should have never been in this position. I called 2 times, once yesterday, once today, and I'm asking for a detail down there for 2 hours. If that's something that you guys cannot do, I will gladly escalate the situation. This is ridiculous. And then this guy's like, this is the first cop that fucking even has any fucking thought. Like, the cop goes, what do you mean escalate the situation? We'll go to the media. I will do whatever I have to do to ensure my family's safety, my brother's safety here, and the 2 firefighters that are here. If his family comes down, they're absolutely going to be doing something. I wish that this motherfucker had the balls to go to the media. I wish with everything in my gut that this Justin asshole had the fucking balls to go to the media. He won't go to the media. What he'll do is he'll hire a PR manager, some sort of PR rep. That's what he'll do. The more traction this gets, he will hire a PR rep, and he will stay out of the public eye because he's the one that has things to answer for, not Kelsey. Because the public is already on to this. The public supports Kelsey Fitzsimmons. No one supports this Justin piece of shit. Nobody does. So escalate the situation. I love that. If you need a detail, I could put a detail out. So he's saying, you're saying there's no resources for this. It's insane. It's insane. If you need a detail, I could put a detail out. The guy says. He says, I will not be paying for a detail. Given the circumstances of this, you could bring this to the chief. Please bring it to someone because I am not paying a cent for this. This is ridiculous. Okay, given the circumstances and the escalation of the situation, you not recruit, providing a detail and having it be in your guy's idea is unbelievable. We could provide a detail, but you're not going to be charged for it. I will not be charged for that. Oh, and you know what? I'm glad that this is the 3rd time this is happening because when something does happen at this location, it is going to be all on that department. Once again, this is unbelievable. This guy is a manipulative cocksucker. Justin, when he gets there, just call us and we'll send an officer over there to keep the peace. That's not how it's going to go down, but thank you for your time. Unreal. Okay, so here is the 7th. Officer William Marcotte of the North Andover Police Department report the following summary of the facts. On Thursday, July 3rd, 2025, I was assigned to fully marked cruiser 305 and sector's regularly scheduled 8 a.m. at 4 p.m. shift. At approximately 10:04 a.m., I was dispatched to 125 Philip Brooks Road for a reported disturbance. Upon my arrival, I spoke with the homeowner, Stephen Fitzsimmons, who had recently arrived to the residence. In the adjacent parking lot was just an asshole who recently called in a civil standby detail for a 10:30 a.m. I separated the Fitzsimmons and asshole until backup arrived. After speaking with all parties, I determined that there was no issue as Fitzsimmons and asshole both desired to make the process as efficient and peaceful as possible. Officer Wedge arrived shortly thereafter for the detail and all units cleared. So this is Justin's bank statement. Hmm. But is this Justin's? Oh, it's a joint bank account with Kelsey. And so January 2025 bank statement. I'd have to take a closer look because I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to find here. I don't know what this is supposed to mean because I'm not seeing any like big withdrawals or Yeah, this is just completely and totally fucked. I did look for that. I didn't see a 5K transfer. See that one more time. Yeah, no, there's just the balances, but the there's only what I'm seeing is only the balance, total ending balance in all accounts. Yeah, there's no big transfers here. There's no big, I mean, this is all yeah, unless I'm just reading it wrong, but I'm not seeing anything it's just a couple of like $100 transfers or deposits or whatever the fuck. Robert, thank you so much. He emptied the accounts after taking her laptop to his parents' house. To his parents' house. Okay. Yeah, I just didn't see an ending balance that said that. You know what I'm saying? And thank you, Robert. I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just blown away by the way he manipulated that situation. Like he was threatening the cops. Like he was coming at the cops all wrong, and they were treating him like he was a fucking customer that they didn't want to lose. That was what was weird to me. You know, the cops at no point were like, hey, listen, man, you're sitting here talking about things escalating and doing whatever. I'm telling you, unless there's a crime being committed, we're not going to send you a detail. We're not going to do that. You know, call us if there's a problem and then we'll show up. That's it. But we're not a security guard service. And you're like, and the guy feels entitled to a detail that he doesn't have to pay for. Why? Because he thinks he knows people? Or he does know people in the police department? But obviously, his reach doesn't go that far because nobody is going, okay, yeah. The cops know that his parents are politically connected. That makes sense. I don't know if Katie needs to be charged. I mean, at best, they could get like an accessory to burglary, you know, but that's still a reach. Like, Because the way it comes off is that he lied to her. You know, saying I was just going to get my stuff. I mean, but the thing is that bank account that I'm looking at, that's a joint bank account. If his name's on that bank account, he could clear it out legally perfectly fine. That's probably why they're not charging him. I mean, because I'm seeing his name on the account. Like, it's not like he fucking used her password. It's not wire fraud if his name's on the account. If that's what I'm looking at, if that's the evidence, but if he did, but I'm also not seeing any evidence I'm not seeing anything on there that's saying that $5,000 was withdrawn. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, she should definitely be fired. I agree with you there. But I'm not seeing anything saying that $5,000 was like withdrawn from the account. So I'm guessing that that's not the account that they're talking about. But he closed out multiple accounts. Okay. But multiple accounts could be checking, savings. But if his name is on those accounts, it's not stealing. It's his. That means it's his money just as much as it is hers. Okay, so it looks like a $5,000 deposit. Okay. But the thing is again, like, yeah, checking joint with Kelsey Fitzsimmons. It says right here. Joint with Kelsey Fitzsimmons. So right here, checking joint with Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Right there. And a 5K deposit, not a withdrawal. A withdrawal to checking for $100. And then let's see here. But I don't know. This doesn't say if it's a withdrawal or a deposit. So there's 271.91, 261.91. I mean, this looks like the balance right here. These look like, okay, so this had $11. Okay, I see what you're saying. This had $11 and then now it has $5,275. But again, checking joint with Kelsey Fitzsimmons. Joint. And there's his name right here. So now, is it a shitbag thing to do? 100%. But the question is, was there a crime committed? Was it wire fraud? That's my question. But if he's depositing $5,000 into an account that has Kelsey's name on it, how's he stealing it from her? You see what I'm saying? That makes no sense. So I don't think I'm looking at the right bank statements. That's all I think that is. I just don't think I'm looking at the right. I don't know what the relevance of those bank statements are in that filing, but all right. I'm sure that there is an explanation in that filing, so I'm gonna look for that. The facts related to the indictment at approximately 6 p.m. on June 30th, 2025, Lieutenant Sean Daly, Officer Patrick Noonan, and Officer Timothy Houston, the North Andover Police Department, responded to 125 Phillip Brook Road to serve the defendant with a restraining order. The defendant, North Andover police officer, resided at 125 Phillip Brooks Road with her fiance, Justin Asshole, and their 4-month-old infant. Earlier that day, Asshole had sought and was granted an abuse prevention order out of Essex probate and family court. Asshole alleged that the defendant physically assaulted him over the previous weekend and that he was in fear of her and for the safety of his child. He stated that the defendant had assaulted him in the past and feared that the defendant would hurt herself and the child if he were to leave. Along with serving the order, the officers intended to remove defendant's firearms from the residence and transfer custody of the child to Asshole. After arriving at her home, the officers informed the defendant about the restraining order, advising her that she was required to relinquish her firearms and give Asshole the baby. The defendant told the officers that her firearms were locked in a safe in the basement. Approximately 10 minutes after the officers arrived at the residence, they called Asshole to gather his belongings and take custody of the infant. In anticipation of Asshole taking the baby, the defendant gathered items, clothing, diapers, bottles from around the house. Officers Houston and Noonan escorted her between rooms. After gathering bottles and diapers on the first floor, the officers escorted the defendant to the second floor so that she could get baby clothes. While they were on the second floor, the defendant's mother arrived at the house. Asshole, who had been waiting for the police station, arrived shortly thereafter to take custody of the baby. When the defendant heard Asshole, she asked Officer Houston to keep him away from her to maintain order. Officer Houston left the defendant, and Officer Noonan on the second floor went to monitor Asshole as he got belongings in the basement. Lieutenant Daly remained on the first floor with the defendant's mother, Asshole, and Officer Houston. Minutes later, he heard Officer Noonan on the second floor yell, "Kelsey, don't do it, don't do it," followed by 2 gunshots. He ran upstairs and rendered first aid to the defendant, who had been shot once in the abdomen, and requested an ambulance to the scene. Lieutenant Daly observed the firearm where the defendant was lying and moved it to the bed. Okay, so that's the first time I'm reading somewhere that he said that Noonan yelled out, "Don't do it, don't do it." Now that could mean that he pointed a gun at her, or that she pointed a gun at him. It could mean that she was about to raise her arm or say, "I'm going to fucking kill you," or whatever. That could mean that. But to me, it sounds more indicative to, "I'm going to kill myself," and he's screaming, "Don't do it, don't do it." Which, again, is more indicative to my theory as to what I think happened, which was she went to pull the trigger, it misfired. He saw an opportunity to shoot her shoulder, and his aim sucks, and he shot her in the chest. Now, that's not the proper procedure to execute something like that, but I think that is the reason why he lied and said that she pointed the gun at him. So kind and thoughtful, and laugh is infectious. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Officer Noonan was briefly alone with the defendant on the small second floor. The defendant was kneeling on the floor in her bedroom, folding laundry for the baby. While standing in the doorway, Officer Noonan observed the defendant face him, lunge behind the door frame, and reappear pointing a firearm directly at him. The defendant pulled the trigger, and he heard a click, but no round fired. Lunge behind the door frame and reappear, pointing a firearm directly at him. So let me get this straight. So she was hiding behind the door frame now, right? So the door frame between the wall of the hallway or the bedroom and the door frame. The door frame's like this wide, bro. You know what I mean? Otherwise, you would have said behind the wall. Right? So, I mean, there's not much to that. But, okay, so it's like an archway in pictures. And there's no doors in the bedroom. No, I'm aware that it says door frame because there's no door in the bedroom. I get that. What I'm saying is, like, why would she hide behind the door frame? I mean, I guess, I don't know if she wanted to point a gun at him. But that dog doesn't hunt. You know what I mean? Officer Noonan gave several commands, including drop the gun and don't do it, believing that she was trying to kill him. Officer Noonan fired once as the defendant continued trying to chamber a round. Officer Noonan fired a second round, striking the defendant. Facts related to claimed promises, rewards, inducements. On or about February 26, 2026, the defendant filed a motion for disclosure of promises, rewards, and/or inducements. We went over that. In it, she claimed that there was overwhelming evidence of criminal activity, including breaking and entering with intent to commit a felony, destruction of evidence, malicious destruction of property, unauthorized access to a computer system, and identity fraud. Now we're getting somewhere. It was accompanied by unsworn statements by the defendant and her father, Stephen Fitzsimmons, and a video of asshole that appears to show him forcefully entering the home on July 2nd, 2025. However, after careful review of the evidence related to the entry of 125 Phillips Brook Road and the allegations made against asshole, the Commonwealth concluded that it had no good faith basis to file charges against asshole. As an initial matter, there is no evidence that the order of the probate and family court that went into effect on June 30th, 2025, which remains in effect to this day, is fraudulent. Hold on. Let me read this again. Yeah, they don't give why. They just said no good faith basis to file charges. I don't know what good faith basis means, but or file. So, as an initial matter, there is no evidence that the order of the probate family court that went into effect on June 30th, 2025, which remains in effect to this day, is fraudulent or full of lies. The defendant repeatedly disparaging the ruling of another court and filings in the Superior Court demonstrates a lack of respect for the judicial process. So this is fascinating. So this is them like trying to bleed a family court issue into a criminal issue. I mean, this is them trying to justify this. They're saying that the civil family issue is relevant to this case, is relevant to the criminal case. And they're saying it's because she is calling the family issue full of lies. The restraining order is full of lies. So because she's saying that the restraining order is full of lies, this makes her more likely to be guilty of this crime. Huh? I mean, that's basically what it's saying here. The defendant repeatedly disparaging the ruling of another court in filings in the Superior Court demonstrates a lack of respect for the judicial process. In any event, the defendant's accusations fail to recognize that when Asshole was granted custody of the child he shares with the defendant on June 30th, 2025. So this is their prosecution is a soap opera. Got it. He needed to obtain clothing and other items of daily living for both the child and himself from the house he had shared with the defendant. In fact, Asshole was in the process of getting belongings from the basement when the shooting occurred, and he fled without anything. Therefore, on July 2nd, 2025, Asshole sought advice from the North Andover police regarding whether he could enter the residence to get his belongings and items for his child. When asked whether he could gather his items from the house, the sergeant responded, "Yes, you have legal standing in there as far as the civil courts are concerned. You have keys, you have access. I know you live there. We know you live there. We're not going to stand in your way from collecting your property if you go and do your thing." So like I said, this fucking idiot is what is causing this person to get away with breaking into her house and stealing her shit. The sergeant suggested that they could send a detail to keep the peace because, especially if the roles are reversed, we do this all the time, and the person who has resided there has a legal right to grab things. Wow. The following day, Asshole again contacted the police department and requested a detail by present. So all of this stuff, like his whole plan, because I'm not even going to keep reading that right there. His whole plan was for this to happen. So things are going to escalate. I'm calling to let you know. I'm so glad that these phone calls are recorded because I'm calling to let you know, the Andover Police Department. I'm calling to let you know that I'm going to fucking bust into that fucking house if I have to. I'm going to take whatever the fuck I want. And that's it. And if something happens, that's your fucking fault. And so now, all of this is on record. So you're telling me that it's okay to fucking go in that house. You're saying that it's my house too. You're saying that all the stuff in there is just as mine as it is hers, and it's for a civil court to dispute. She's going to have to take me to civil court for it, right? So I get carte blanche over anything in that fucking house, is what you're saying. Thank goodness this is being recorded, because when they try to charge me with a crime, I get to use you guys as cover. Thanks. Got it. Which is exactly what happened here, because we're reading it. This is the prosecution right now justifying his actions because the North Andover Police Department said, hey, it was cool. Arrangements were made for a private detail, but Asshole arrived before the detail and set off security alarm when he entered the home. You forgot to mention that he broke into the home. The defendant's father, Stephen Fitzsimmons, appeared shortly thereafter. The North Andover Police responded. Blah, 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 blah. There was no mention of breaking and entering by either party at any time. Spoke with Fitzsimmons and Asshole together, and they both agreed they wished to resolve the issue peacefully and efficiently. Wow. So now they're trying to use Steven going, yeah, maybe he didn't fucking know that he busted into the house. Marcotte observed asshole and Fitzsimmons, or he fucking did, and they're lying. Fitzsimmons embraced in a hug and exchanged in an emotional conversation. Asshole said he was sorry about everything. Fitzsimmons said, it's not your fault. She is sick and needs help. That's interesting. Argument. In an attempt to obfuscate and distract, the Commonwealth anticipates that the defendant will question asshole on claimed promises, rewards, or inducements related to his entry into Phillips Brooks Road on July 30th or July 3rd, 2025. However, where the evidence related to the claims demonstrate no cognizable crime, questioning on the subject is irrelevant. Wow. Officer Marcotte's report contradicts Stephen Fitzsimmons' unsworn, unsigned, undated letter filed by the defense counsel in his motion, where he claimed he ran back to the driveway yelling to the police, somebody broke in, somebody broke in. So there's a cop who's saying, so now it's a cop's word against Stephen Fitzsimmons, Kelsey's dad, where they're giving completely different stories. He's saying the cop is saying that Stephen Fitzsimmons, who went through all this trouble to protect Kelsey's home from Justin by changing the locks, by changing the alarm code, by sprucing up the alarm system, by sprucing up camera system, by going all out to make sure that this house was secure and safe from Justin. Justin goes and breaks in, and the cops conveniently report that, well, Stephen Fitzsimmons was like, hey, we're going to hug it out. Everything's cool. We love you. Especially after homeboy called and threatened that shit was going to escalate. If they don't pop it off, I'm going to pop it off. That's what he was saying. There's nothing about this cop's story that I believe. Excuse me. There's nothing about this cop's story that I believe at all. Because everything else makes it seem unbelievable. Everyone else's actions. Stephen Fitzsimmons' actions are indicative to his story. That he was like, yo, somebody fucking broke in. Somebody broke in. Rather than, hey, it's all good, homie. Give me a hug. Hey, I understand completely. My daughter, who I'm trying to protect from you with all this security, is sick and needs help. I don't believe that shit for a second. Especially after dude called the cops 3 times saying, if something pops off, something's going to pop off if you guys aren't there, giving me a detail. Either he's going to do it or I'm going to do it. Wow. In order to cross-examine a witness and demonstrate bias in testimony, the defendant must make a plausible showing that the circumstances existed on which the alleged bias is based. Evidence of bias usually exposes a prior connection or relationship between the defendant and witness, or some motivating actual potential benefit to the witness from false testimony. In this case, the Commonwealth could not legally or ethically prosecute asshole related to his conduct on July 3rd, 2025 at 125 Phillips Brooks Road. Right, because he got the cops lying for him. That's why. Probable cause requires reasonably trustworthy information, sufficient to warrant a prudent man in believing that the defendant had committed an offense. Okay, I need to see That's why I'm not seeing. That's why the bank statements that I'm seeing were this is on a filing from the Commonwealth. On June 30th, 2025, Asshole told the police that he had been living there with Kelsey since May of 2024, which is consistent with what the police observed during their search of the home. In the home, the police found tools, hunting items, and closets full of male clothing and shoes. Asshole also swore under oath in filings with the probate court that he paid half the mortgage of the home and at least half of the utilities from May 2024 through June 2025. Of course he said that. Only the defendant in her unsigned statement claimed that Asshole had moved out days prior to June 30th, 2025, which is inconsistent with all witness statements indicating that the defendant and Asshole were together during the Jack and Jill party in Maine the prior weekend. Sarah, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I have not heard anything about Kelsey having a union rep. That's because she was fired. I mean, does that automatically, shouldn't she still have a union rep though? They just completely stripped her of her badge, her gun, everything. So does she still have the right to a union rep? I mean, I don't know. The Commonwealth must prove that the defendant had no right of habitation or occupancy in the apartment at the time of entry. And that's why they're not charging him. Not that the building allegedly broken and entered belonged to another, but rather that the defendant broke and entered a building not his own. Moreover, although the locks had apparently been changed and Asshole made a forceful entry, he had no felonious or malicious intent, where he had been given permission by the North Andover police to remove his belongings and even hired police detail to ensure the process went smoothly. But, okay, again, are they just saying that he did not rob her? Again, like, I need to see, because they're just ignoring this. If he robbed her straight up, like if he stole her money that wasn't his, that wasn't in his name in any way, shape, or form, if he stole her money, took her passport to do it, well then, yes, you can absolutely prosecute that. You don't get to just break in to do that. Okay, maybe you can't charge him with breaking and entering, but you could fucking charge him with wire fraud. Andover police to remove been given blah, 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 blah. In addition to the intent to inflict injury to property, the crime requires a state of mind infused with cruelty, hostility, or revenge. No? Come on. Given the defendant's biased and untruthful presentation of the evidence related to Asshole's July 3rd, 2025 entry into 125 Phillips Brooks Road, the Commonwealth cannot rely on her other uncorroborated, unsworn statements relating to other alleged crimes. With respect to a stolen love letter, the Commonwealth photographed the letter during the execution of the search warrant and provided it to the defendant in discovery. Similarly, claims related to identity fraud and other unauthorized access to computer based on screenshots alone do not weather even surface level scrutiny. For example, the Commonwealth was able to conclude that the disputed withdrawal of $5,000 was from a joint checking account, and that in January 2025, Asshole had deposited a $5,000 check made out to him from his grandmother for their child. So that would mean that it's his money. That's what we were looking at there. Therefore, the defendant should not be permitted to raise the specter of a promise, reward, or inducement with respect to Asshole's testimony, where such questioning has no good faith basis in fact and would lead to a trial within a trial on Asshole's conduct on July 30th, 2025. Okay. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay. I need more on this whole wire fraud situation, because if that's the wire fraud, I'm sorry, guys, that's not wire fraud. It's shitty, but not even if it's a fucking check that he got from his grandmother. Like if it's a check made out to him that he got from his grandmother and then he withdrew it, then that's his. But I'm wondering, like, why did he take her passport? For what? What was the purpose of taking her passport? Okay, but that doesn't matter. Not legally speaking, is my point. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Okay. See, that makes more sense. So apparently he took it from her account illegally, put it in the joint so he could take it legally. Okay. It's not her account, though. It's a joint account. But if Cherry's correct, then yes, he did commit a crime. But again, if it's his fucking money, you know what I'm saying? I don't like it. I'm not sitting here siding with the fucking guy. I'm saying, dude, like, I'm being objective here. So Lauren is saying there's no joint. So if there's no joint, then this is fake. Then the evidence that the prosecution is presenting here in this filing is doctored. It's fake. Yeah, I mean, she knows better than me too. Yeah, I mean, I don't see where um like I just I don't see them accusing the guy of bank fraud and stealing when the evidence is this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see that happening. But again, I mean, I only have access to so much information right now. So I'm just going by what I'm seeing, you know? I mean, there's things that that I don't like, but it is what it is. What do you want me to do? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit here and create a false situation because I don't like the fucking guy. You know what I mean? Right. No, it's still illegal. It's still illegal, but it's a different it's a different picture painted here. You know what I'm saying? Gone to the Dogs just gifted 20 memberships. Holy shit. Well, I don't know what the twisted words and lies are yet. I don't know. I need to see more. I need more. Is all I'm saying. I need more. But I mean, don't get me wrong. I absolutely believe that the guy's intentions were absolutely nefarious and malicious. Absolutely 100%. Why the fuck would he need 6 of his fucking boys to go into the house? Why is he just simply saying, hey, I don't know? Like, he obviously went in there to get that fucking money, right? So he's like, I'm going to bring a fucking crew with me. And I want to bring cops with me to justify everything that I'm doing. Right? Because the fact is if he was so concerned about safety, he wouldn't even insist on wanting to go over there. And he sure as fuck wouldn't bring a crew of dudes with him. He would just simply be like, okay, let me get some sort of mediator to talk to Kelsey's family, and we figure out some way to where we could peacefully figure out how to get my shit. Okay, listen, I don't need you to blast these things that I already know in all caps in my chat. Like, I don't fucking understand the situation. I get the situation. What I don't think you're understanding is that there's a difference between what we like and what's legal. There's a difference between what's right and what's legal sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to do is get to the bottom of whether or not they are justified in not charging Justin for breaking into her house. Because so far, I mean, again, if he lived there, whether the house is in her name or not, if he actually lived there and all of his clothes are there and he has belongings there, he has a right to that property to some degree. But it should have been executed differently. I do think that he went in there to take that money. I do think that he felt entitled to that money and he went in there to get it. And he fucking went through whatever means he had to get it. And I think he knew exactly what he had to do in order to get that money. What I'm saying, though, is, did he do it illegally? Now, he took her computer. He had no business taking her computer. I agree with that. But at the end of the day, and this is where this actually gets pretty infuriating. At the end of the day, the DA is looking at it like, am I going to get a jury to convict this person? Can I get a jury to convict this person if the money actually belonged to him? If he can justify, hey, the money belonged to me, I have the baby. If the baby is in my custody currently and the money was intended for the baby from my grandmother, it's going to be hard to convince the jury that he did anything wrong, especially if he lived there, if he had property there. It's going to be hard to convict him of something like taking her computer, which, as I understand it, he ended up returning, didn't he? So, and yes, using her credentials is illegal. The thing is can the DA get a jury to convict him on that? Is the question. Does the DA feel like they have a strong enough case to waste time and resources on a conviction on property that at the end of the day belonged to him, meaning the money? Okay. Oh, really? You're going to prosecute a guy for taking somebody's passport? You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't like it. I don't like it, but it is what it is. Now, this is the part that gets infuriating because I'm also pissed off because I understand that one side of me understands that a DA is probably not going to go for this, and they're just like, it's not even worth prosecuting. Then why in the fuck are you going through all this trouble to prosecute Kelsey Fitzsimmons? That's my question. If you are saying, hey, regardless of all this shit, I mean, he did fucking take her passport. He took her computer. He broke into the fucking house. He destroyed her property. Okay, well, why? If they're not going to prosecute that, why are they going through all this trouble to prosecute Kelsey on a case that carries a fucking probation sentence at worst? Why? Why are they looking at this at one case like, no, we're not doing that. That's not worth it. And then looking at this case like, we are going to do everything we can to prosecute this woman. We need this woman on probation. Bad. Huh? It doesn't make sense. But I am saying, I know a lot of people don't like it, but I am saying that it's right now making a lot of sense to me why they're not prosecuting Justin. I have been hashtagging charge Justin like crazy. But the thing is now I'm like looking at it from any average DA's perspective. And if they don't feel like they could get a conviction, if they're not 100% solid that they're going to get, they're not 100% confident that they can get that conviction, then they're not going to prosecute it. And that's the thing is, I comparing Kelsey to Karen's case, there's certain things that are reminiscent. Like, obviously, this judge had a hard on for Kelsey for God knows what reason. That was fucking weird. So there's a lot of really shady, questionable things that I would compare that to Karen Reed, because it's just like, why are they so fucking balls to the wall, fucking just so hard on to fucking prosecute these people, these women? Who knows? And I don't even think it's a woman thing. I know there's people saying, well, they keep prosecuting these women, keep framing these women in Massachusetts. It's like, calm down. This is two cases. Like, Aiden is being railroaded too. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, I get that. Justin's family has connections and friends in LE in the court system. I get that. Again, I'm not saying that what Justin is doing is right and that I don't believe Kelsey. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not even remotely saying that. I'm not even implying that. What I'm saying is the wire fraud thing, I'm looking at a little bit differently now, because I'm wondering, my whole thing is just, my whole thing has been, why haven't they charged Justin? Because I'm under the impression that he just fucking just broke into that house to take her shit and steal her money. But I didn't know that there was a joint bank account involved. I didn't know that he had a check from his grandmother that was meant for the baby that he currently legally has temporary custody over. So I'm looking at this through wider lenses right now is all I'm doing. As far as the feelings I have about charging Justin. Well, not even the feelings I have. Like my feelings are still like, fuck yeah, charge that motherfucker. He sucks. But my brain, my ability to be rational and logical here is making more sense to me now as to why they haven't prosecuted him, why they haven't charged him. Like when I'm thinking of the legalities of it. I mean, I don't know about that. I mean, it's up to the DA, and the DA is pretty adamant that they're not going to charge him. So I wouldn't hold my breath. It's not B&E though, Cherry. It's not B&E if there's evidence that he lived there. Yeah, no, I am absolutely convinced that this guy is a manipulative, controlling shitbag. I'm totally convinced of that. What I'm saying is the guy's fucking good. That's what I'm saying. The guy knows his shit. That's what I'm saying. I'm angrier about it. All right. I get that his statement said he moved out. Doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter that he has a statement saying that he moved out. But he's still, if he resided there for 6 months or more, as I understand how the law works, and like he still has shit there. Like if somebody moves out, that could be temporary. That doesn't mean that it's permanent. That could be the argument right there. Is he could have just been like, yeah, I moved out, but I didn't know if we were going to get back together again. I don't know what's going to happen. I was going to end up maybe fighting for the house and end up living there myself and then kicking her out. You know, there's all kinds of different scenarios. It's never just one straight line. There's all kinds of things that need to be considered when we're speculating on these things. I can't tell you how many cases that I've covered, that I followed, where I'm like, okay. And then there's all this public information. But then once it gets to trial, there's all kinds of shit that no public ever knew. Witnesses that we never heard of, situations that took place, data that was collected, all kinds of shit that you just never fucking know until the trial happens. And that's a fact, Cherry. That's a fact. Yeah, the DA has decided that they're not going to charge him. Like that's, I'm not gonna hold my breath on that. You know. Now again, if if I'm misunderstanding, if the Commonwealth's argument here in this motion is absolute and total bullshit and the defense can prove it, then fuck yeah. I think people should be out there at the fucking DA's office holding signs saying free Kelsey and charge Justin. 100%. I absolutely believe that. But what I'm saying is, based on what I'm seeing right now, I'm getting why the DA would be reluctant to charge Justin. Because if they don't feel 100% confident that they can get a conviction, if there's all these problems, if he has a halfway decent fucking lawyer, he can have that shit totally thrown out. So there'd be no point to waste the time and resources on charging this guy to prosecute him. That's another reason why they probably wouldn't charge him. I mean, they're obviously looking for reasons to not charge him. But again, you can't sit there and look at it like, I mean, if that's the case, that's what we want, isn't it? We want the Commonwealth to use this kind of judgment when they decide to charge someone, right? You don't just fucking just start throwing the book at them like they're doing with Kelsey and like they did with Karen Reed. So we can't expect them to do that with other people just because we don't like them. What we want, if the objective here is to get justice, then the objective here is to get the Commonwealth to do their fucking jobs. Minus the influence and the corruption. That's what we want. That's the overall outcome that we're looking for, no? Isn't that what we're all here doing? So we can't do that rules for thee and not for me kind of shit. It doesn't work that way. Like, it becomes a very toxic problem if we start saying, okay, well, if you're going to do this to them, then do that to him. That's not what we want. What we want is for them to do their fucking jobs correctly and in the interest of justice. That's what we want. Right. And that's why I'm always going to give Tim Bradle the benefit of the doubt. All I'm saying is that based on what I have seen with my eyes, fuck anybody's word, fuck who I trust, fuck who I have good faith in and think, hey, I have no reason to think that they would lie. Fuck all that shit. I'm looking at the evidence made available to me for me to review. And the evidence made available for me to review makes me wonder whether or not that Justin is not being charged because they just simply don't think that they could get they can get a conviction. Okay, let's break this down. I agree with you, but that's a very, very oversimplification. You've got to look at things a little bit more broad. The wire fraud should be easy to prove. Understood. Absolutely. Great. But can you get 12 jurors to unanimously agree that he should go to jail for it? If the defense creates a level of doubt by saying the money was his, they had a joint bank account. You get 12 jurors to unanimously go, yeah, this guy is a piece of shit and he robbed her. And I mean, that's what the DA is thinking. The DA is going, can I get 12 jurors to unanimous? Can I confidently say that I could get 12 jurors to unanimously convict this guy for wire fraud when the defense has planted in their minds that the money was technically his? That's the question. That's the issue. I get it. And it makes me mad. I get it. But the thing is you might not get 12 jurors to agree to that. There's too much of a chance that you won't be able to get those 12 jurors to unanimously agree. It's just how it is. Now, again, I'm just talking based on what I'm seeing so far. Maybe there's more. I don't know. But I'd like to see more before I make up my mind. I'm just saying my mind is on the fence about the whole charging Justin right now. That's all I'm saying. Now, do I think that he's manipulating the system? Absolutely, 100%. Do I think he's weaponizing the system? Absolutely, 100%. Now, if you could prove that, fuck yeah, charge him. I want to see him charged. I want to see that guy get thrown under the jail for that shit. Fucking makes me mad. But can you prove it? That's the issue. You can't just throw him in jail because he's doing something that makes you mad. You got to be able to prove it. You got to be able to prove that he broke a law. No, I get that. You guys are talking to me like I don't understand this. Like, I know that. What I'm saying is, knowing that, I don't personally believe that a DA would feel 100% confident that they could get 12 jurors to unanimously convict on that. Simple. Like, I don't understand what's difficult to understand about that. Yeah. Oh my God. Stealing her laptop to get money from an account with his name on it makes zero sense. Seriously, think about it. But he still did. There's an RO. It's not like he could communicate with her. So again, if he has a decent enough defense attorney to argue that point, a decent enough defense attorney to go, what else was he supposed to do? He has this baby. He needs money. That money was rightfully his. It was given to him by his own grandmother, designed with the purpose to take care of this baby. And so he did what he had to do to get the money. If he can paint that picture to make him look like a struggling single dad trying to protect his child, doing everything that he can, if he has a good enough defense attorney, he doesn't have to convince the jury of that. All he has to do is make the jury wonder if that's really the case. And that is called reasonable doubt. And you do that if you do that with one juror, that defense attorney did their job. That's it. Like, I'm agreeing with all of you that this is fucking infuriating. I think that he absolutely played the system to weaponize it against Kelsey. I absolutely believe that. All of his actions dictate this to me. What I'm saying is, what can you do to prove it in court and get him charged with a crime? What can you do to get him convicted of a crime, more importantly? Oh, he's watching and laughing his ass off, for sure. Guaranteed. But I mean, that doesn't, what I'm going to do here, folks, is I'm going to look at this situation and I'm going to try to understand it out loud. This is what I've always done. And it may not be what you like hearing, but that's where I'm at on this right now. You guys are killing me. He logged in without permission. He took her laptop. Okay. But I seem to be the only one here fast forwarding to a closing argument and 12 jurors deliberating and arguing over whether or not this guy had the right to do what he had to do in order to get money that was rightfully his. Legally speaking. That's the issue. That is simply the issue. Is whether or not a DA feels confident, 100% confident, that he can convince a jury to convict unanimously without beyond a reasonable doubt that this guy should be punished in the eyes of the law for taking what was rightfully his in the eyes of the law. And I'm not saying it was rightfully his. I'm saying in the eyes of the law, if the defense can paint that picture that way, if his defense attorney can paint that picture that way, they're never going to get 12 jurors to convict this guy. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, he was afraid of Kelsey's dad for sure. And it bothers me that this cop is telling a very, very different story than Kelsey's dad. Bothers me a lot. Because, again, I believe Kelsey's dad simply because Justin's behavior in those phone calls and because of the steps that that Kelsey's dad took to secure the house specifically from Justin. So that's what I absolutely believe Kelsey here. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is this is a more fucked up situation than I thought. This is more disturbing than I had bargained for. That is my point of me saying this and playing devil's advocate here. Is to let you guys know where my brain is right now. I'm not quite as confident that that Justin would be charged as I was fucking earlier today. I mean, okay. The DA spin is the only spin that matters because the DA decides whether or not Justin is going to be charged. The DA decides whether or not he can get 12 juries to convict unanimously. 12 jurors. That's it. It's up to the DA. It's up to the DA, period. So, yes, when analyzing this responsibly, legally speaking, as little as I know about the law, but I know a little bit, enough where I follow these things and I see DAs who charge things and don't charge things and why they charge things and why they don't charge things. I've seen it in my real life. I'm telling you, the DA spin is the only spin that fucking matters. Doesn't matter. Now, again, if it's clear that there's no reason to think that a jury would fucking not convict this guy unanimously easy, I would absolutely be like, dude, people need to fucking be outside that DA's office and demand that they charge this guy. But the problem is I'm starting to understand, at least for now, until I see more evidence to contradict otherwise, I see why the DA is choosing not to charge this person. I don't like it, but it is what it is because it's hypocritical. The reason why I don't like it is because they shouldn't be charging Kelsey. Kelsey should not be being prosecuted right now for the same reasons why the DA is refusing to charge Justin. Why can't he charge her for accessing her pension? I don't know. Did he steal from her pension? Did he take her pension? Oh my God. We're the lucky ones, gifted 50 membership. Wow. Thank you so much. We're the lucky ones. You 50 folks are the lucky ones. No, thank you. You're amazing. You guys are all amazing. Yeah, we're not always going to agree on everything, folks. And I'm not always going to say things that you like or want to hear. I'm not. And also, who the fuck am I? I'm just a guy up here reading these documents, trying to understand them as best as I possibly can. I don't know any better than anybody else. So you take what I say with a grain of salt. I'm just sitting up here thinking out loud, and what I say only matters as far as you are entertained. That's it. Nicola, thank you so much. We are an emotional people, Will. Yes, I'm emotional about it too. I'm emotional about a lot of things today. But I mean, you know, like I said, I mean, I'm actually probably more upset because I have this understanding right now, or at least I seem to have this understanding right now. I'm actually more upset. I couldn't because as soon as I fucking cross-examine Justin, I'd be like, state your name for the record. And I'd be like, Justin asshole. And then they'd be like, Your Honor, objection. Please. What is this behavior? This is an officer of the court. He's behaving like this. Fuck you very much, Your Honor. Couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Like crazy shit like that happening. Like it's so frustrating when things are when the law is fucking weaponized like that and twisted, it just makes me so mad. You know, like that's why I loved Karen's team so much. Like I loved Karen's team so much because they were so on the right side of things, and the law was being twisted and manipulated and weaponized against Karen, and these guys were pissed about it. David Yannetti was angry. Bob Alessi was angry. Alan Jackson was angry. Liza Little was angry. And we all know how Karen Reed felt about it, of course. But they were angry. They were angry that the law was being manipulated the way that it was and weaponized and mishandled, miscarried. Justice was so miscarried because they refused to look anywhere else but at Karen. That was one of the most frustrating things about it, is that they were refusing to look anywhere. They didn't investigate anyone else. They didn't eliminate any other suspects whatsoever. They decided that morning, boom, Karen Reed did this, and we're going to fucking go out and figure out ways to prove it. And this is infuriating because they seem to be doing a similar thing here. I mean, it's a much different circumstances, but they seem to be really adamant about prosecuting and convicting Kelsey Fitzsimmons for something that carries a fucking probation sentence. It's nothing. I mean, it's so weird that they're going through all this trouble. Why are they doing that? The only thing that I can think of is, and I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. The only thing that I can think of is because this dude knows people and they are prosecuting her to the fullest extent of the law simply because it's going to help his custody battle and fuck her over to take her child away from her and alienate the child away from her. That's what I think is happening. And I think it's crazy and fucked up. Because that's the only reason that I can think of why. I mean, they are using the RO so much. Like the prosecution plans on using the RO and the statements in the RO to try to prosecute her, to get her convicted. When it's irrelevant, it has nothing to do with anything. So that bothers the shit out of me. So whether or not she pointed a gun at another officer, I mean, and the fact that they're going this far, why wouldn't a DA just simply be like, hey, man, you know, she served out there on the streets of North Andover. And she got shot. Isn't that enough? Let's just let her be. Let her move on with her life. Let her deal with this custody thing with her. She's got a lot to deal with moving forward. I mean, the worst she's going to get is probation. So why even bother? She's already been shot, you know, but they're adamant about convicting her to the fullest extent of the law, prosecuting her to the fullest extent of the law. Why? And the only thing I can think of is this guy and his connections. And the system's being weaponized against her. And the motive only seems to be so that he can ensure getting custody of this child. Because you're never going to get a jury to convict her on these charges. Like, that's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? That's why I'm so frustrated. This is why I'm saying is for this very same reasons why I am confused as to why they are so adamant about convicting Kelsey Fitzsimmons here. For the very same reasons that I'm confused about that, you know, is why I'm upset about or confused about Justin not being charged. It just seems like the system is working in his favor. Because I mean, there's for the same reasons that I feel like they shouldn't be prosecuting Kelsey. They are those are the reasons why they're not going to charge Justin. This is what indicates to me that the system is being weaponized by Justin against Kelsey. Good morning, Paul. Good to see you, buddy. Hope you're good as well. Yeah, and he's not making decisions that are in the interest of the child. Like there's no realm where a man would be like, I don't want her having anything to do with this child. She can't go, the mother of this child can't go anywhere near him. Like no father wants to completely cut their child out of their mother's life for good. No father wants that. Even if the mother is a danger to the child, the father is still going to want the mother to be part of that child's life in some way, shape, or form, whether it be supervised visits, anything. Even if you have to educate the kid and be like, hey, listen, your mom's confused, your mom's this or that, whatever the fuck you got to do. But, you know, you protect the child from the mother if necessary, if the mother is dangerous. But there are ways, because the mother should always have a chance to somehow maybe see the light and change and be a better person for the child. But the mother should always have a chance to do that. Yeah, no, agreed. Only a toxic asshole would do that. You know, only a toxic asshole would do that. Like the baby's an infant. It's not. It's not easy. That's what's interesting. It's generally not easy. Because the thing is like the RO, there's like a purpose. There's a purpose for that law. The thing is they can't discriminate that law for just women or just men, right? That law, the basically how it works for a restraining order in a case like that, it's designed to protect. It was written and designed to protect a woman who wanted to escape a very dangerous, abusive situation. And they had this option to be able to do that, to just go to a judge and be like, this is an emergency situation and I need to protect my baby from shitbag dudes like this. But the problem is that you can't discriminate from women to men. And so that can absolutely, there's always another side to a coin where that law could be manipulated and weaponized against somebody. And this guy found a way to do it. So the standards of how you can get a restraining order in Massachusetts that seem so fucking ridiculous, they are. And this is why it's ridiculous. This is why you should always have proof. You should always have to provide proof when you're going to separate a child from their parent. You should have proof if you're going to accuse them of being dangerous and a danger to the child. You should have to provide proof of that. Not just go in there and say some words. But the whole law or that whole process is designed. They make it so easy to do that because it's designed for a mother who is desperate, scared, broke, has been abused financially as well as physically, mentally, emotional, whatever, where this woman is completely and totally at the whim of this man and trapped, and she should be allowed to be able to go to a judge the first chance she gets and say, hey, I am in a really bad situation here and I need help. I need emergency legal intervention here. But a shitbag can go ahead and do that too. A shitbag can lie and put on a show and write some bullshit in a fucking restraining order and weaponize the law in his or her favor. All right, we're getting on 3.5 hours here, folks. I think we're all a little pissy and tired, and my energy rubs off on the chat. I get that, you know. I get that. And my energy wasn't great tonight. But I meant everything I said. You know, I mean, I stand by it. And like I said, I don't like it. Agreed, Scott McGinnis. And you were on Justice Served tonight, but I didn't catch it. I'm gonna have to catch the replay. But yeah, people. I mean, I'm gonna look at all of these cases objectively. This is how I've always done it. So sometimes it's gonna rub people the wrong way. It just is what it is. You know, I'm sorry about that, but you know, I'm gonna explore these things. And I'm going to play devil's advocate sometimes. And sometimes I'm just going to have to prepare myself for the worst and face the reality of something that I don't like out loud here. And you guys might not like it either. So, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much. And welcome all you new members. And thank you guys for all your support. And man, We're the Lucky Ones was fucking incredibly generous tonight. Thank you so much, guys. I love you very much. Remember, it only takes a second to stay safe. And don't weaponize the law against people. Don't be dickheads. I love you very much, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.
Watch out! Today, being retarded means leading a full life. Retarded people go to work or school, just like their neighbors, and come back to a real home. A supervised home, right in the neighborhood, where they belong. Being retarded never stopped anyone from being a good neighbor.